What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. This is Leo's Nerd Talk, and today we're going to be speaking about Madam Web. So let's get into that. Madam Web is the newest Sony Marvel spin-off about a character named Madam Web that I honestly don't know too much about. This is pretty much my first encounter with the Madam Web character, and the concept of the character is interesting enough, but it's something that doesn't play too big of a part, especially in this movie. Now, I can't say that I was particularly extremely excited to see this movie. The trailers never really captured me. It was on my most anticipated list on my honorable mentions just because I figured that this was going to be a movie that could polarize and have two different sides to it, people that absolutely love it and people that absolutely hate it. And there's not going to be too many people in the middle. But that's kind of where I am with this. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the positives for me. And like I said, Madam Web is a character. I don't know too much about that character in terms of the Marvel Universe, not the cinematic universe, but just the Marvel Universe in general and how that character plays a part in the Spider-Man world and all that kind of stuff. And I think the concept was interesting. Whether or not it was executed properly, that's up to people's, interpretations. For me, it wasn't executed the best, but I enjoyed the concept. I thought the power that she had, that she could see the future and kind of stop things and be in multiple places at different times and stuff like that. That's kind of interesting, and I think if they executed a little bit better, it would have made for a better movie. But just the concept itself, I generally enjoyed. And it had its fun moments. It wasn't a total train wreck the entire way. It had its fun moments where I was really, interested. I was, locked on the screen, and ultimately it made me want to watch Spider-Man, especially the Sam Raimi Spider-Mans. That's kind of what this vibe kind of gave me, and it made me want to just go watch Spider-Man. And it made me think about what this character could, play a part in the Spider-Man universe. I wonder if they're going to continue this depending on how this goes. I'm sure if it doesn't do good, it probably won't ever see the light of day of a sequel. But if it does, I want to see how they kind of tie it into the Spider-Man universe, because that would be kind of interesting seeing all these Spider-Women and Madam Web and Spider-Man all kind of team together. I think that might be a cool movie that this movie tried to be. And overall, I think this movie is just kind of a popcorn movie. You can definitely throw it on whenever, have a good time with it. It can be in the background. You can enjoy it enough. It's one of those movies that some people say it's so bad that it's good. I think it's just good enough for you to be able to enjoy here and there. Nothing too crazy on this movie. Their plot points aren't that intense. There's no significant characters or anything like that. So it's definitely a movie we can throw on. It's a B-level superhero movie, and just have some fun with it. Have a little kickback party and throw this movie on and just enjoy it. And that's kind of what I like about the movie, is that it doesn't take itself too serious, unless it did. But for me, it doesn't feel like it takes itself too serious, and you can just have fun with it, throw it on, and move on. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into the cons for me. And one of the cons that threw me off at the beginning, and it didn't do it throughout the whole movie, thankfully, but it did it, in different snippets throughout the film. But it would like move, the camera would move to a character, and as they're talking, it would like zoom in on their face, like whoa, like whatever they were saying, like if it was like super dramatic, they had to zoom in, and then it zoomed back out, and then it moved to a different character, and it zoomed in and out. Like that camera work was really funky for me. It felt very amateur, and for a movie like this, you don't want the cinematography aspect of it to be poor, because when you have poor characters, poor plot points, no significant villain, and then you throw in some dodgy camera work, it just makes for a very low budget experience. And that's kind of what this movie felt like. It was a very low budget. And especially even with our main character, I don't know if our, not our main character, excuse me, our main antagonist, I don't know if he doesn't speak English or not. I haven't really looked into that. But every time he's talking, 90% of the time, the screen is not on him. When he's talking, it's focusing on someone else, and it sounds like someone is just talking into a mic. He might be miles away, and it's just like, we have to find those girls. But he's like miles away, and like it felt so weird. And every time he talked and he was passing by, his mouth wasn't moving. So I don't know if he was just there to be there and someone else did the voiceover, because it just threw me off throughout the entire film. It just looked so weird. Every time you go back to our main antagonist and he was talking, you can tell that he personally wasn't talking, or if he was mouthing something completely different than what was actually said. So that was a very, very strange thing to see throughout the entire film. That happened throughout the entire film. I also didn't enjoy the usage of the Spider Women here. What you saw in the trailer is what you get in the entire movie. That the what you see in the trailer, that's in the first like 15 minutes of the movie. And they never become Spider Women until the very end when it's just teasing something, you know? And it sets up another movie. But like I said, this I don't think this is gonna make enough money for it to merit another movie. And if they do one regardless, I hope they make something a lot more epic and more meaningful and have better plot points, because this didn't have the plot points that really stuck out. It had a poor villain, in my opinion. He didn't really seem that intimidating, especially because I don't think he was the one talking. So it threw his whole villain out of the water because it just seemed so awkward every time he was on screen. So he was never really intimidating. And then we have Dakota Johnson as Madam Web, which I think she did a fine job. I think all the girls did a fine job being these kind of damsels in distress, while Dakota Johnson's being their protector and you know, seeing the future and trying to keep them safe, trying to keep them from dying. Everybody did a fine job, but there was nothing significant, nothing that stood out that merits this movie. You know, this should have never been a project. It should have never been a Madam Web project. There should have been a singular Spider Woman project. That would have been pretty interesting. But Madam Web just didn't seem to fit in what Marvel is trying to do or trying to get back at. It just seemed very, very offbeat. And I guess that's kind of where Marvel is in their lifespan. Everything seems pretty much offbeat the past few movies that we gotten from Marvel. And this is more of a Sony project, but it's still a Marvel character, and everything just felt a little off. But with that being said, let me know what you guys thought about Madam Web. Have you guys seen the movie already? Let me know in the comment section down below. I had a decent enough time with it. I can see myself watching it again, but definitely not the best movie we've gotten in a long time. So go ahead and check it out. Let me know your opinions on the movie. And again, if you guys like to talk about anything movies, TV shows, or video game related, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. I'll see you guys on the next review. Thank you.